First, we'd like to have introductions, and we've got some new board members. And really, first, I just want to thank them for your willingness to serve. So it's we'll start from my left and we'll move to the right.
I think I turned that on. I'm Dennis Basil, citizen member, I guess, and I'm a past appraiser. I was on the appraisal board for the state of Florida for 12 years, past MAI appraiser, and I served as a special magistrate during the 90s for about 10, 12 years here in the county. And I got asked, so I thought I'd serve.
I was so pleased when you agreed. With your experience, thank you so much. I know you're probably going to help us out a lot here. So
I hope I can
that'd be
bite
good.
my tongue.
Okay.
Kim Atkinson, County Commissioner, District 3. This is my second year.
Thad Altman, my second year, this cycle, my 8th year. I'm a glutton for punch. I guess I'm a property tax nerd. I don't know. And Dana, we just keep coming back, don't we? Yeah. But no, it's a great honor to be here and work with the board members and our professional staff and our property appraiser. It's a very important job. I take it seriously, and I just want to thank your willingness to be here.
Thank you. I'm Megan Wright. I'm the new kid on the block, so this is my very first meeting. I sit on the school board. I represent District 1, which is the north end of Brevard County. So happy to be here and serve. Looking forward to learning and helping our community however we possibly can.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Rob Adams, a citizen member, I guess. I think it's 2.5 years or so. I can't remember, something like that, Aaron. I used to talk about my career. We build great big cold storage warehouses nationwide and live in Indian Harbor Beach. But now it's about raising my 10 grandkids, not raising, but I got 10 grandkids under 10 years old. So we're very busy every weekend. If you ever want to babysit, we need some help every now and then. Thank you.
Aaron Thalwitzer. I'm the VAB attorney. I've been the attorney for several years now. My law firm's Gordon and Thalwitzer in Cocoa Beach, and I live in Indiana.
I'm Shana Jenks, and I'm clerk to the board.
Nicole Summers, clerk to the board.
Thank you. And Dana?
Dana Blickley, property appraiser.
Rachel Putti with the Property Appraiser's Office.
Good. Brevard County Property Appraiser.
Brevard.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, we appreciate you being here and looking forward to another season. It's going to be an interesting one. Okay, provide contact information of VAB members and VAB clerk staff. That's something we need to...
It doesn't have to be stated as long as it's in the records, which I know it is.
Okay,
We don't have to go through and recite.
we have all the contact information.
Yes, sir.
We all got notice, so we're good. Okay, now our VAB attorney, Aaron.
I think we should go back to agenda item 1, which is appointment of VAB council.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, that little detail. Thank you for reminding me. God, I'm so impressed that you remembered that.
Might be self-interested.
Okay, I think, any questions on the legal counsel contract? A motion be in order for approval? I think this is
Motion to
technical.
approve.
Yes, sir.
It's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion and second to approve, to ratify our contract with legal counsel. Any debate? All in favor say yay.
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 Carries unanimously. Okay.
Thank you very
You're
much.
already doing your job, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, agenda item 3A, that goes to me. 3A, 1 through 4 are really, they're just formalities. We don't need to discuss anything on there unless anybody had questions or wanted to. 3A5, however, is mandatory. It is a requirement at the organizational meeting that the board have a discussion regarding Florida's property tax system. That's all that's stated. So historically, I've just gone through a brief summary of the VAB process, what gets us there and what happens after the VAB process. So really things start as far as the VAB is concerned with issuance of the trim notice by the property appraiser. At that point, taxpayers have essentially three options. One is to have an informal conference with the property appraiser to discuss any issues or concerns. The other is to file a lawsuit directly in the circuit court. And the third option is to file a petition with the VAB. No one has to file a petition in the VAB. It is not one of these mandatory administrative remedies that has to be sought in order to appeal. It's an alternative to going to court, and it's intended to be relatively cheap and easy. If they do file a petition, there is an evidence exchange process with the property appraiser, which is now a mandatory process as of, I guess, year before last. And they're entitled to an evidentiary hearing with, in our county and most counties, a special magistrate. The special magistrate, well, there's three types. There's real property appraisers who are licensed appraisers. There's tangible personal property magistrates, which are often appraisers, but they're basically experts in personal property valuation. And there are attorney magistrates who hear legal issues like exemptions and classifications. After that, the special magistrates issue recommended decisions, which the clerk and I review and ultimately approve, at which point it goes before the board, who reviews that for compliance with the law. And if it complies, the board adopts it, and it becomes a final decision. That's the final stop in the VAB process. After that, there's a 60-day period in which taxpayers or the property appraiser may appeal to the circuit court. So there's two ways to get to the circuit court, but no one has to go through the VAB to get there. There's a lot more, obviously, but that's sort of the brief VAB process summary. So if there's any questions or any discussion, now would be the appropriate time. But it's not required. All right, if that's it, that concludes my report.
Okay, great. I don't think we have any questions. I had one quick question. Now, the new amendment, the Amendment 3, the deal in property, did that address any issues, or does that address any issues related to property appraisal or appeals?
The homestead?
Yes.
No, not particularly. It's not particular to the VAB, and it doesn't. It wouldn't change anything procedurally.
So if that passes, we still have the same appellate process.
It would broaden the
Yeah.
scope of the exemption, but it wouldn't change anything else for
What
the
we do.
VAB.
Okay, well then no other question, we'll move to reports. I want to, I have a couple things just to mention. One, this process is judicial, quasi-judicial in nature, so it's, I wouldn't say it's adversarial, but it's judicial by nature. That said, I just want to, before we get started on all this stuff, say some really good things about our property appraiser. We are blessed in this county to have a really good property appraiser and a property appraiser office. I just want to make that point. We may have differences of opinion from time to time, but it doesn't mean in any way, shape, or form that we have a really good partner in our constitutional office there. And I want to thank Dana for the work you've done in providing information, just information, not one side or another, but on the constitutional amendment, Amendment 3. You've really done some amazing work and just communicating to the public about what the impact would be. And I just want to give you a big thanks for that as well. So, like I said, this is going to be an exciting year to be around property tax stuff. So, yeah, to say the least.
Exciting.
So, okay, and that's all I have.
I have no report.
Okay.
Brand new.
No report here.
Okay, that's good. Well,
Commissioner, I
think-
do have one question. I'm assuming and maybe it's to the attorney, I'm assuming this is under the sunshine, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, we are under the Sunshine Law.
Okay.
Now, I see a second page, new business. I'm just used to doing reports after the new business, but let's go ahead and do new business.
Yeah, I can run through that.
Okay.
Section 5A is confirmation of the pre-hearing checklist. There's a memo addressing that, which was in the packet. Nothing further is needed there. 5 B is to appoint special magistrates for this year. And this is probably the most important substantive item on today's agenda. As I said, there are three types of magistrates: real property, tangible personal property, we call it TPP, and attorney magistrates. There are memoranda about each group of magistrates. The board can take them separately or all together. The only comment I wanted to make about any of them, and it's not substantive, but one of the real property appraiser magistrates, the last one on the memo, Alexander Yampolsky, he is a new applicant. He seems to be an experienced appraiser, but new to us. The only issue or potential issue there is that he seems to live and work in New York. I just wanted to add sort of a contingency to, and if he's approved by the board, that there will be no travel fees, no travel compensation, and which is the case already, but I thought it was worth pointing out in particular for him just because he appears to be in New York. So I thought that would be worth saying to him before he signs the contract in case he expects that. Other than that, though, all of the applicants are qualified. Most of them have been with the VAB for many years, or at least several years. So if it's at the pleasure of the board could take all three types at once and hire all of them with that proviso, if the board wishes, on Mr. Yampolsky, or take them
I think we
one
can
at a time.
take a motion for all three unless somebody has any
I
concerns.
do have a question.
Yes.
On Mr. Yampolsky. Is he a certified general appraiser in Florida?
Yes, he is actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he is licensed. He doesn't have to be, excuse me, no, he does have to be for real property, but
Right.
yes, he is. He
Okay.
is. He's qualified. He's just
Okay.
far away.
Okay.
I want to ask a question in regards to Mr. Yampolsky as well. Is there any reason we would entertain an appraiser that is outside of Florida as opposed to the other ones appear to be in the state of Florida? So is there a benefit for that? It seems to me that we would want someone that's local that understands.
I would say it is a good thing for the board to have a large slate of qualified magistrates. I was actually saying to the clerk before the meeting, I represent several other VABs. Some of them, not us fortunately, but some of them are having a lot of trouble even hiring enough special magistrates. So I think there is a benefit to having more than enough, even if some of them might be outside the state. So he has the qualifications. I can't speak to his overall competence because I don't know him and I've only seen his application. But I would say there is just an inherent benefit having more qualified magistrates.
A question. Generally, how many cases will the magistrates see per term?
I could guess, but it's probably a better question for the clerk.
Usually, they may hear up to 12. It just depends throughout October to February.
12
So,
each?
12 each, they could be. Or we can have them for 2 days out of the month, or some, we have 4 days out of the month.
Sorry, I have another question I'm just going to ask, since I'm the new
No.
kid here. Prior to this list of applicants, how many did we have last year before? I guess, is this done every year annually?
Yeah, every year it's done new.
Okay, so how many applicants do we have last?
I believe it was 11. We
11.
now have 12 with Mr. Alexander.
Okay.
For the real property magistrates. The attorney magistrates, we have 4 this year, and we also had 4 last year.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Just as an excess of caution, I do know Camille Basil, not related, and Robert Suddy, known them fairly long time. John Robinson I worked with when I was a special magistrate. And all of them are MAIs. I used to be an MAI, just as a disclosure. I'm not anymore.
Well, I think that's a good thing.
Just want to
Good thing,
disclose.
yeah. It's
not a
fine that we
conflict,
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll state that. I don't have any
Okay.
conflict.
Right. That's good. Okay. So if there's no further questions, I think a motion
To approve.
to approve the slate.
All 3 slates, yes, sir.
Do we need to have in the motion the comments of no travel reimbursement?
It's probably worth mentioning, just so we can add it to
Okay.
when we
So I
contact
think
Mr. Yampolsky.
a motion to approve the slate with the provision that we also include, that it's clear that all the all the applicants know that we are not reimbursing travel.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any debate? All in favor, say yay.
Yay.
Carries unanimously. Okay,
Shall I take the next item?
yes.
We are on 5D, which is adoption of Resolution 2026-01 regarding filing fees. The board may recall that a couple of years ago, the legislature increased the maximum filing fee for most petitions to $50 per petition. There are a handful of exceptions to that which are listed in the resolution. I don't recall last year's filing fee. Was it 50?
I think we went to 50.
I think it was, but
To 45.
45?
Oh, that's what we did is we took what we were charging, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, factored in inflation, and if we're charging the same thing as we did,
Right.
it's 45, a little bit less 50. So that's how we came up with the 45 number.
So the question before the board is whether to adopt, well, up to a $50 filing fee. And just for the board's information, even at $50 per petition, it's only a small fraction of the actual cost per petition or per hearing. I don't know the exact cost, but it's usually between 10 or 20% of the total cost of administering the VAB, even if the full $50 were collected.
Right.
So it's still a relative bargain compared to the court system, for example.
Well, we still have one more year of cost of living increase, so we were at 45 last year. I don't know what it would be this year, but I would be open to 50 if that,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
so a motion would be in order for
I'll
that.
make a motion that we set the fee at up to $50.
Motion to set the fee.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say yay.
Yay.
Carries unanimously.
5E is adoption of resolution number 2026-02, guidelines for electronic appearances at hearings. This is a requirement. The VAB, because we have over 75,000 population in the county, has to offer electronic hearings, which we've done for many years. This just lays out some specific procedures for that, which are required. I don't think there were any substantive changes since last year, but this is a required resolution. So if there's a motion to adopt.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Because I thought of this question when we were talking about the special magistrates, and I didn't say anything, but since we're talking about this. Now, when we do the electronic appearances of hearings, are the magistrates here? They don't,
The magistrates have to be physically at the VAB's location.
okay,
The parties can be wherever.
can be in. So our special magistrate from New York will.
He would have to
still-
physically be here.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the guidelines for electronic appearances at hearings.
motion for the electronic appearances at hearings, the guidelines. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say yay. Yay. Carries unanimously. We go to F.
If we could, I got a note from the clerk to go back to the 5D filing fee resolution. I think that the terminology was up to a $50 filing fee.
That's what it said.
Just so it's clear, that was the vote to set it at $50?
I was wondering the same thing. I should have said something.
Yeah, and I should have
Up
as
to.
well. I'm sorry for that.
That was a mistake on my part.
Okay, let's just re-vote on that.
Yes, sir.
A motion to set the filing fee at $50.
I think that's what I said.
It was up to 50.
I'm sure that's
Yeah,
what was
right. I heard that too. and I thought,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything. All right, so at $50, that's what you said. Is there a second?
There's a second.
A second. All in favor say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Okay, we've set the filing fee at
Thank you.
$50. That's unanimous.
5F
That's
is,
why we have a Cracker Jack staff over there.
5F is to announce the tentative schedule for the VAB.
Tentative schedule will start in October, exact date, October 19th.
And no votes are needed on that. 5G is approval to continue the VAB good cause decisions by VAB counsel. This refers to late filed petitions. So anyone who files a petition after the deadline has to provide good cause as to why that should be accepted despite being late. Generally speaking, they've got to show, some sort of emergency, travel that couldn't be avoided. They got to provide some sort of verifiable information or, documentation for it. Just saying I forgot or didn't get it in the mail is not sufficient. I've handled these since I've been counsel. The board does have the option to have either the clerk or a magistrate handle it, but historically it's been done by counsel. So the vote would be to approve good cause decisions by myself.
Okay. Is there a motion for the good cause decisions by the VAB Council? Continuation of the VAB good cause
So moved.
motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say yay.
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 Carries unanimously.
5H is approval to continue the VAB clerk or her designee to determine good cause reschedule requests. And this is what it sounds like if someone needs to reschedule a hearing that's heard by the clerk. Again, I myself or a magistrate could handle these, but it's always made sense for the clerk who does the scheduling to handle those requests. And she always comes to me if there's any complicated issues or anything.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to continue with the VAB clerk or her designee, making determination on behalf of the board for all good cause reschedules.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second for 5H. All in favor, say yay.
Yay.
Carries unanimously. Now, our last item is public appearances or public comments. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to be heard? Dana, you're recognized.
Thank you. Just a couple of clarifications, because we do have new members, and we did have a change with the evidence exchange that's memorialized in Aaron's memorandum that we have. Just so the new members know, the exchange of information that must happen is done through Axia, done through the software program that the clerk uses for the administration of the hearings. So, back in the day, when those of us that were around, that was done more rudimentary. Now that is done through Axia, so the petitioners upload their information, and the property appraiser also uploads our information, and also the property record card for each petition. Right now, the clerk's experiencing an issue with Axia, so none of the property record cards nor any of our evidence can be uploaded right now, and they are working on that. But just so you're aware, in case you get calls or anything regarding that. And then the other thing is
On that point, question, when you say they are working on that, who's they?
The clerk.
The clerk, okay.
The clerk,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So the other thing I just want to mention is just semantics, but Aaron, in your memoranda on page 5, and it's talking about just the change. Prior to this, the petitioners had to provide their evidence 15 days before the hearing to the property appraiser. The property appraiser had to provide our information 7 days prior to. Now that has changed to we have the same requirement. We have 15 days, same as the petitioner. But it's more than just the evidence, and Aaron quoted the bulletin on that. But at the beginning, Aaron, again, it's just semantics. It says petitioners must provide a list of evidence to be presented at the hearing at least 15 days before the hearing. But the property appraiser must provide to the petitioner at least 15 days before the hearing a list of the evidence to be presented at the hearing, copies of all documentation to be considered by the VAB, and a summary of that evidence to be presented by witness. Those same requirements exist for the petitioner, just so you're aware.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's it. That's all I have.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for
Can
that.
I ask a
Sure,
question for
sure.
clarification? If you're not able to upload right now into Axiom, how are those documents delivered to the petitioner? Right? Because is that how they would access it as well whenever you guys are uploading your evidence? So how would the petitioner receive your end of documents?
Well, right now, they cannot, because we have to upload those. That's what's required now with the evidence exchange. And your attorney can elaborate more on that, because he's actually written on that. But that is how we have an exchange of information. It's all done electronically through Axia. So until that is solved, we cannot upload our evidentiary material or the property record cards for the petitions until that's resolved.
Will the VAB be able to have hearings then if we're not able to? I'm trying to understand the process, so that's all. Forgive me.
That's really a question for the clerk. We assume they'll have that resolved.
Okay.
Way prior to that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I do have a question about that.
Yes.
You said you can't upload. Can the petitioner upload?
That would be for the clerk. I'm not sure.
That, I'm not sure. They can actually file the petition online because it's so early in the game right now. I don't know if they're able to upload their evidence. I know they can file the petition online, and they can do it that way, or they can send it to us and we will upload it for them if they email it to us or if they bring it into our office.
It's the same system, though, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the 15 days starts when?
It's counted backwards from the hearing date. So
From the
hearings wouldn't
hearing
begin
date.
Until
Okay.
October. So there's still plenty of time. Obviously, you don't want to
Right.
delay things, but there is plenty of time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that.
Public comment?
Anybody else from the public wishes to be heard? No further comments. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, sir. All right.